That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Alright guys, we covered the running back and the wide receiver position of the players that we are trying to target for our fantasy football playoffs. Now let's dive into the quarterbacks. I think the quarterback position is actually going to be very important because it's the most predictable position based on the matchup, because we know exactly what the volume is going to look like, and quarterbacks tend to have the same level of efficiency game to game. So really, I think that these players are going to be extremely predictable on the guys that we think are going to be able to perform in weeks 14, weeks 15, and 16. So here is our list of 5 quarterbacks. But before we get into it, please, if you have not already, go down there, drop a like on the video. It really helps us out. Make sure you leave a comment as well telling me what quarterbacks that you want to be targeting for your fantasy football playoffs. And now let's jump into the video. All right, so let's start it off with possibly the greatest quarterback of all time, a guy that I honestly think I was a little bit too low on coming into the season, Tom Brady. So with Tom Brady, yes, I had my question marks around him just because we weren't expecting him to lead the league in passing. And on top of that, we know that Tom Brady is going to provide us no rushing equity at all in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. And really, rushing production is a cheat code at the quarterback position in fantasy football. I don't know how many times I have to go over this. This is why I would honestly rather have a quarterback that's going to provide us something in the rushing department like a Josh Allen over a player like Drew Brees. But here with Tom Brady, he has a fantastic schedule in weeks 14, 15, and 16. Very similar to the reason that we are wanting to go out there and target Chris Godwin. And I think it's going to be almost impossible to project Tom Brady to see a step back in efficiency as the season goes on, knowing that he's having Antonio Brown continue to acclimate to the offense. He has Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and Rob Gronkowski, possibly the best skill positional player group that Tom Brady has ever had in his NFL career, even better than the 2008 Patriots team. So here with Brady, I think that he's one of the most exciting quarterbacks in terms of what we're going to be projecting from his passing volume in the fantasy football playoffs. On top of that, he's an extremely safe option just because we know that he's going to be a quarterback that outside of the 2 New Orleans Saints games in 2020, he's provided us that consistent flow of production. In the majority of games that he's played in 2020 so far, he's been missing one of Chris Godwin or Mike Evans. So now that he has all 3 of his wide receivers 100% healthy, he has that dominant tight end as well in Rob Gronkowski. It's going to be so hard to get away from Tom Brady. I don't think he has access to that top 3 finish though, just because he's not going to be able to get us 30 rushing yards a game. And we know the equivalent of 30 rushing yards a game in fantasy football is 75 passing yards. So it's absolutely massive, but still it does not matter when the passing volume should be there. The efficiency should be there with Tom Brady with a great skill position group of wide receivers. All right, guys, sorry for this interruption, but real quick, let me hold up a puppy because I know we're going to get way more likes in this video if we do this. So 5 seconds, here's a quick puppy break. Make sure you go down there, drop a like on the video. Really helps us out. If y'all don't know, this is Miley, 9 months old. And yeah, she's completely massive, Great Pyrenees. Go down there, drop a like on the video for her. All right, so now let's transition over from the best quarterback of all time to the best rookie quarterback of all time. Yes, I'm going to say that, Justin Herbert. Guys, if you pull up Justin Herbert's statistics in points per game or whatever metric you want to look at, you can compare this across time to Andrew Luck. You can compare this across time to Cam Newton. Pretty much any rookie quarterback season you want to pull up, Justin Herbert is going to be sitting there at the very top. He has provided us so much production so far, and we know that he has a fantastic schedule in weeks 14, 15, 16. This is why we're really intrigued with going out there and trying to also get Keenan Allen, trying to get Austin Eckler on our teams for the fantasy football playoffs. And here with Justin Herbert, he's also going to provide you something that Tom Brady won't. He's going to provide you some rushing equity in his offense. I know he's probably only going to be rushing for 20 to 30 yards a game, which doesn't sound like a ton, but if he goes out there and rushes for 25 yards a game in the fantasy football playoffs, that's equivalent to about 60 to 70 passing yards every single game. So guys, that is what I am talking about when we are referring to just the cheat code that you get with these rushing quarterbacks in fantasy football. A lot of people have a real hard time trying to disassociate real life NFL value and real life NFL talent with fantasy football. Guys, fantasy football is is strictly us trying to score fake points with an arbitrage scoring system. So yes, you're going to find a ton of players that are much more talented that are worse fantasy options. We can look at the running back position like this. Look at a player like Nick Chubb, who's one of the most talented running backs in the entire NFL. And with his usage, it really doesn't even matter because he's not a top fantasy option. I know that a lot of people don't want to really come to terms with the true reality of this. But guys, it's so important that we do look at these quarterbacks that are going to be able to hit that cheat code like Justin Herbert is with his rushing equity. And we know that he could run in a few touchdowns as well. All right, so now let's get to our next quarterback. Someone else that is honestly not going to give you a ton of rushing production, but has a fantastic schedule in the fantasy football playoffs. Jared Goff. Now, not only is Jared Goff seeing one of the best schedules you could ever have for the fantasy football playoffs, playing both the New York Jets and the Seattle Seahawks, but now he finally has all of his pass catchers fully healthy, and I think that we are going to expect Cam Akers to continue to increase his role in this offense. I think that Cam Akers is going to be an upgrade over Darrell Henderson. And with this Los Angeles Rams team, they are getting back Tyler Higbee 100% healthy. They clearly have Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Josh Reynolds, all firing at the exact same time, something that we've very rarely seen from this Los Angeles Rams offense the past few seasons. Now, really similar to Tom Brady, I'm worried that Jared Goff's not going to have that rushing production, but here it's not going to matter too much when the schedule is going to be so strong, when we know that Jared Goff is going to provide us that very high floor. He almost threw for over 400 passing yards this past week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We know the volume can be there, especially if we see this defense to regress a little bit. Yes, this defense has some of the best defensive playmakers in the entire NFL with a Jalen Ramsey, with an Aaron Donald, but they are not necessarily extremely deep at any level of the defense. So if we see any key injuries to their key members, I think that we could be expecting this team to kind of transition to be a little bit more pass happy as the season goes on. And what's also great is the Los Angeles Rams are in a situation where they cannot afford to take their foot off the gas. They are going to have to continue to go out there, battle for this division, and make sure that they are winning as many games as possible down the stretch. So I don't think we see this offense slow down in the slightest. All right, so now our next quarterback, someone that's actually had some pretty bad matchups over the past month. He has another tough one coming up in Week 12. Ryan Tannehill. Guys, with Ryan Tannehill, the storyline here is efficiency. Ryan Tannehill, since taking over as the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans in 2019, has been one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the entire NFL, especially off the play action with Derrick Henry. He has an elite offensive line. I know that they have suffered a key injury to the left tackle position, but still, Ryan Tannehill, the schedule is going to get easier in weeks 14, 15, 16. This is also a quarterback that is actually providing us some kind of rushing floor in his offense. He's rushing for about 15 or 20 yards every single game. I know that does not sound like a lot, but that's the equivalent of 40 or 50 passing yards in a game. So you love to see that from Ryan Tannehill. On top of that, he has all of his weapons coming into this offense fully healthy for the first time in a while. We have Corey Davis good to go. We know Corey Davis was on the COVID list earlier this season. We have A.J. Brown 100% good. We know that A.J. Brown was suffering from that knee injury as well earlier this season. So with this offense getting healthy at the right time, with the schedule lightening up, with Ryan Tannehill's career level of efficiency with the Tennessee Titans, I think there are a ton of reasons to be excited about Ryan Tannehill. All right, so now our last quarterback, someone that I was just entirely wrong about in 2020, Aaron Rodgers. Guys, talk about a quarterback that has completely turned his NFL career around. This was someone that really was trending in the wrong direction over the past 3 seasons. You can make the argument that it was based on injuries. You can make the argument that it was based on his supporting cast. Whatever argument you want to make, you cannot deny the fact that he was losing confidence from not only his own coaching staff, but also the front office, where they went out there and they significantly invested to turn this team around with trading up for Jordan Love in the first round, with drafting A.J. Dillon in the second round, with drafting a fullback / tight end in the third round, it really looked like they were preparing for the future, trying to turn into a Tennessee Titans offense where they were going to rely on great offensive line play, try to get the play action developed with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones, and then just use their quarterback position as a very efficient spot, but not necessarily having a ton of volume. Well, Aaron Rodgers turned it 100% around after this team drafted Jordan Love. He's been on a roll so far in 2020. Not only that, but very similar to the other quarterbacks on this list, he's finally getting his skill positional players back 100% healthy. Aaron Jones should be 100% starting this week in Week 12. Devontae Adams as well. Now that we also have Allen Lazard coming in, Marcus Valdes-Scantling finally breaking out in his role as a field stretcher for this Green Bay Packers offense. Also, you combine the fact that Aaron Rodgers has a great schedule in weeks 14, 15, 16. I think that this is going to be another intriguing target for the fantasy football playoffs. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Really, really helps us out. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Really hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope I see y'all in the live stream tonight.